So functions in Python are reusable blocks of code used to perform a specific task. Okay, they help organize programs into smaller sections and execute the same logic whenever needed by calling the function. So a function is basically a block of code which performs a specific task. Okay, so you write a logic to perform a specific task. Suppose you want to perform that logic, okay, at multiple places in your program. So instead of repeating those set of statements, okay, everywhere you need it, what you can do is you can define a function. You can write your logic inside that function, and whenever needed you can call that function, okay, to perform that task. Now we will see how to define a function, a normal function. Okay, we have lambda function also. Okay, so first we will discuss normal function. So a function can be defined using a def keyword. Okay, so we use a def keyword to define a function. So this def is a keyword, and then function name. We write a function name, right? And within parentheses, we can declare parameters. We can declare parameters and then a colon, hit enter, and then write statements, the body of this function. Okay, you can write statements here to execute, and optionally you can write a return statement. A return, you can return some result or expression, return result. Okay, this is the syntax of a normal function in Python. So this def is a keyword. Okay, we always use this def keyword to define a function, to declare a function. This function name, okay, this is name of the function. You can use any name here, okay, to define this function. And then optionally you can declare parameters here, okay, to receive values, okay, from the calling statement, right? And then you can write statements here after colon, and then optionally you can write a return statement to return a result. If you don't write a return statement, then function by default returns none, right? So let's define a function, okay, using def keyword, okay, that prints a welcome message when called. So def function name is we can name it fun, and let's define a parameterless function which does not receive any parameter, okay. And then here you can write a print statement, and within this print statement, okay, write a welcome message, welcome to any string, okay, hello world or welcome to Python or any string. Okay, so this def is a keyword, this fun is the function name, we don't have any parameters in parentheses, then a colon, and after this hit enter. Okay, so by this space will be by default added, okay, this indentation, okay, will be by default added, and then you can write your statement. So it's a simple function. Run the cell. Okay, so we have executed this cell, and then uh, to call this function we have created a function, okay, its name is fun and it has no parameters. Okay, now we will see how to call a function. So after creating a function, call it by using the name of the function, okay, followed by parentheses containing the parameters of that particular function, if any. Okay, so we have defined this function. Now to call this function or to invoke this function, simply write the name of the function. Here the name of the function is fun, okay, and then parentheses, and within parentheses you can pass values if you are calling a parameterized function, but currently we have this one is parameterized function, so passing anything from here, okay, is not required, is not needed. Run the cell and see output is welcome to code camp, right? So as you see we get the result welcome to code camp. So this function we have defined in this cell, in next cell we are calling it. Now you can call it uh, any number of times, okay, and every time you will call it, because it is not accepting any parameter, okay, it has one print statement which will always print welcome to code camp, right? Next we will go ahead and see how we can receive input data in a function, okay, using function parameters or function arguments. Okay, arguments are values, okay, passed to a function when it is called. Okay, so arguments are values passed to a function when it is called. They allow functions to receive input data and perform operations using those values. So the syntax to define a function is what? The def function name, then the argument. So here let's add one more cell and write the syntax of a function with arguments. So def keyword and then function name and within parentheses arguments or parameters, okay, and then you can write your function body here and return value, right? So this def function name arguments, this defines a function with arguments, right? And below this, okay, the body follows actually this column. Okay, so if you write any statement here, okay, we'll make body of this function, and then you can write a return statement, okay, return a result. Okay, so here we can receive arguments, right? Let's define a function. So let's name it add 10 and argument is x, okay, and we can write expression here directly in return statement x plus 10, okay. So in this argument it will receive input value in x and then it will add 10 to the current value of x and the result will be returned. Run this cell, okay, we have executed this cell and now call add 10 and pass any number, so let's pass 10. Run this cell and result is 20. Okay, so this 10 received in x and then the value of x, which is 10 plus 10, 20 is returned here. Okay, if you pass 20 here, run this cell, result is 30. Okay, 30 plus 10 is 20 plus 10 is 30, right? So this is how you can define a parameterized function. You can receive, okay, values and arguments. Let's define a function that checks whether the number passed as an argument is even or odd. Okay, so you can use if else inside a function body. So let's add one more cell here. Def keyword, use def keyword. Function name is even and even odd. Okay, now receive a value in x and then you can write your logic, okay, to check whether number is even, the received number is even or odd. So here you can write if x modulus 2, if remainder is 0. So if we divide x by 2, if we divide the value of x by 2 And if the remainder is 0, it means if the value of x is exactly divisible by 2, if remainder is 0, then the number is even. So we can print here, use colon, because now, okay, we want to create a block for this if clause. Print even number, else colon print odd number. Okay, now run this cell. So we have created this function, even odd function. Now call this function, okay, and pass a number to check whether the number is even or odd. So function name is even or odd and pass any number. So I'm passing 14 and 14 is even number. Okay, so the result is even number. Now call this function again with another number, even odd, and pass 17. Okay, run this cell and this is odd number. So here we are passing 17. 17 will be received in x. X divided by 2, remainder will be 1, which is not equal to 0. Okay, so this if block, if clause will be skipped. This body will not execute. So else will execute and it will print odd number. Okay, for 17. So it is as simple as that. Okay, very simple. Now we will discuss, okay, types of function arguments. Okay, we will look at the different types of function arguments. So Python supports different types of arguments that can be passed during a function call. So we have default argument, and default argument uses a predefined value when no value is passed during the function call. So define a function, again use def keyword. Function name is my fun, and within parentheses x argument, and declare one more argument y, and let's set it to, because now we are discussing default argument, y equal to 25. So we are setting the default value for y. Okay, so we have two arguments, x and y. X does not have any default value, y has default value 25. Now uh, define its body. So let's print x and y. Run this cell. So we have created a function. Okay, function is my fun, and it has two arguments, x and y. X is a normal argument, it doesn't have any default value, and y has 25. Now let's call my fun, and pass 10. Now we are passing only one number. So this 10 will be received in x, this x. Okay, we are not passing value for y, and y has a default value 25. This is a default argument. Okay, run this cell and see output is 10 and 25. Okay, so here y equal to 25, this it sets a default value for the parameter y, and my fun 10, this invocation, okay, is passing only one argument 10 for x argument. Since y is not provided here, we are not providing value for y. Okay, it uses the default value 25. So that is why we are getting 10 and 25. Now call my function, okay, with two parameters. So here we can call my fun and pass two parameters. Let's pass 30 and 45. Okay, we are calling the same function my fun, this one, but this time we are passing value for both x and y, right? Here y is default argument. Run this cell and see, now we are getting 30 and 45. So here we are passing values for both the arguments x and y. We are passing 30 and 45. So the value of y is now 45. Okay, default value is uh, actually the value that you pass for a default argument, okay, is set in the default argument. So here this 45 will be assigned, will be received in y. Okay, so it is now y is using the value 45, right? Another type of function arguments is positional arguments. Okay, so supplied values are assigned to parameters, okay, based on their order in the function call. So let's define a new function. So let's name it uh, name and age, name age, and accept name and age. Okay, two inputs, and print. Let's print here. Name is first placeholder and age is second placeholder. Okay, we have two placeholders now. Use format function, format, and pass name for first placeholder and age for second placeholder. Okay, run this cell. So we have created this function name age, okay, which accepts two parameters, name and age, and then it prints this formatted string. Name is name, the value of name, and age is the value of age. Okay, now call name age and pass, let's pass here John and 25. Run this cell. Output is name is John, age is 25. So if we change its position here, let's change its position, pass 25 John. Okay, so in this invocation, this 25 will be received in name, John will be received in age. Okay, so it would give what? It would give name is 25, age is John. Okay, run this cell. Name is 25 and age is John. So here name and age are positional arguments. Okay, so we have to pass values, okay, in the same order. So in the first invocation call, okay, values match the correct parameters. Okay, we are passing John for name and 25 for age. In second function call here, okay, values are swapped. Okay, we are passing this 25 to name and John for age. Okay, so values are swapped because the order, we have changed the order, right? So we are getting name is 25, age is John. So these are the positional arguments, right? Positional parameters. Another type of function arguments is keyword arguments. Okay, keyword arguments pass values, okay, using parameter names. So uh, so arguments order, okay, doesn't matter in that case. So if you are using keyword arguments and if you are passing values using keyword arguments, okay, to a function, in that case the uh, order of arguments, okay, does not matter, right? So let's change this to person. Function name is person. Okay, this is f name and l name. Okay, first name and last name, right? So let's display f name and l name. Okay, run the cell. Now call person, call person, and now we are discussing keyword arguments. Okay, so here you use f name argument name equal to value is and l name equal to. Okay, now we are using uh, these argument names here, right? So these are keyword arguments. Run the cell and result is Narendra Sharma. We actually assigned Narendra to F name and Sharma, we are passing this Sharma for L name. So this Sharma will be received in L name and Narendra will be received in F name. Okay, let's change its order. We are changing the order of parameters here. Okay, we are still using the argument names. Okay, so L name is equal to Sharma, although we are passing Sharma first. Okay, and F name equal to Narendra. Run this cell and result is still Narendra Sharma. Okay, so if you use keyword arguments, then the order of arguments doesn't matter. But in case of positional parameters, the order of arguments matter. Okay, we should pass values for arguments in a specific order. Okay, but that is not the case in keyword arguments case, right? Now we will discuss nested functions or function within a function. Okay, so a function defined inside another function is called an inner function. It is used to organize a related logic. Suppose you are implementing a logic and within that logic, suppose you want to execute a set of statements multiple times. So instead of repeating that set of statements multiple times within a function, okay, what you can do is you can define a function inside that function. And then you can call that function wherever you need, okay, to execute that set of statements. Okay, so it is used to organize related logic and can be this inner function can access variables from the outer function. So if you declare variables in outer function, okay, outer variables declared in outer functions will be accessible, okay, to inner functions, okay, the function that, okay, you define inside a function. So let's define a function, use def keyword, function name is fun1. Okay, make it parameterless. We don't need any parameter here. And declare a variable x equal to, okay, set it to any string. Okay, set it to any string. And then here, suppose you are writing your logic, you are writing your statements. Okay, now you need to write a set of statements that you will be needing at multiple places. So what you can do is you can define a function then within a function. So use def keyword again and let's name it fun2 again colon, okay, and define its body. So its body in its body, okay, let's write a print statement, print and print, and I said we can access variables declared in the outer function. Okay, so we have this x in outer function. Let's try to access this here, right? And in the body of this function, now here at this level, okay, now we are actually in the scope of fun1. Okay, so here we can call fun2 we can call fun2 again. Okay, you can call fun2 as many times as you need in your program. Okay, here let's write one statement, print statement. Now that this print statement is part of this fun1 body. Okay, so fun1 statement. Okay, and then call fun2 again. Run this cell. So we have created one function, okay, which has a inner function. Now let's call this function here, fun1. Okay, so we will call fun1 here. We are invoking fun1 here, and fun1 will declare this variable x, okay, and it will assign code camp to it, and then this def fun2 will declare, it will define one function, inner function, and the scope of this function will be this fun1 within the fun1, right? And then this statement will call the fun2, then it will statement it, this print statement will print fun1 statement, and this statement is in the scope of fun1, and then this fun2 will call this fun2 again. Okay, so execute this cell and see code camp. So this is the output from this. Actually, fun2 executed and it invoked fun2. It printed value of x, and then we are getting the output of this fun1 statement, and then it is calling fun2 again. So we are calling fun2 two times from within fun1, right? So here you can write your logic, okay, or expression or anything, okay, that you want to write inside it, and then you can call this fun2 within fun1, okay, as many times, okay, as you need, right? So this is inner function. Now we will discuss a return statement. Okay, return is used to end a function. So after you have completed body of a function, okay, you can use a return statement, and return is always used to return the control of execution or end a function. Okay, and you can use it to send a value back to the caller. Okay, so suppose this is the function. If you write a return statement here, return and some result, okay, you can return some result or some expression from here. So if you call it from here fun1, then it will execute its body, okay, it will perform its operation, and then when this return statement will execute, okay, it will end the function and it will return the value of this result, right? It this return statement can return any data type, value of any data type. Okay, it can return multiple values. Okay, you can return a tuple, you can return a list, okay, or you can return multiple values packed into a tuple, okay, or you can return a none. Okay, function returns a none if no value is given, right? And the syntax of a return statement is what? A return and a result or expression here. So here expression is what? Expression is the value returned by the function. If no value is returned, if you simply write return like this, then it returns what? None by default. So let's define a function here. Function name is, let's name it square root square value. Let's name it square value, and receive a number, okay, and result equal to num star operator 2, okay, square of this number, and then a return keyword, and here we want to return what? We want to return this result. So return result, or you can write return statement here also in this statement itself. Return num star star 2, okay, then it will become what? It will become expression. Okay, okay, so here We are receiving a number and num, and then we are computing what? The square of the number. We are assigning the result, okay, to this result variable, and then in return statement we are returning the result. Execute this cell. Okay, we have created this function, and this function has a return statement, okay, which returns what? A result. Now call this function square value, and pass a number. So let's pass 5, and result is 25. Okay, the square of 5. Okay, and if we pass -4, -4, okay, result is 16. Okay, so here this square value accepts what? A number as input, and this calculates the square of the number, and this return statement, it sends the result back to the caller. Okay, caller is this. Here we are invoking the function. Now we will discuss or look at passing value by value and passing value by reference. Okay, when you invoke a function, okay, you can pass a value, you can pass a number or a value by value or by reference. Okay, that we will discuss. Okay, now, so variables refer to what? Variables refer to objects. Okay, and function behavior depends on whether the object is mutable or immutable. Okay, we have already covered mutable, immutable. Okay, when we covered data structures, when we actually discussed list, dictionary, tuple. Okay, so mutable objects like list can be modified inside a function. So let's define a function. Def keyword, use def keyword. Function name is my fun1, and accept a value in x, and we will actually pass a list, okay, in x. So if this x receives a reference of a list, okay, then we can change, okay, the list element from here. So we will try to, here we will change the first element of the list. Okay, we will change that to 100. Right, run this cell. So we have executed this cell, we have created this function. Now let's create a list. We will actually pass a list to my fun1. So create a list here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, run this cell, and now here call fun1, my fun1, and pass this list A. Okay, so we are calling my fun1 and passing A to it, and this A is what? This A is list, and list is mutable. Okay, can be modified. Here we will receive reference in x, and in this statement we are trying to change the first element, the first value, okay, to 100. Here in this list the first element is 10. Okay, and here we are trying to change it to 100. Run this cell. uh, okay, not defined, typo, my fun1. Run this cell, and then print A again, print A, and see, now in A the first element is 100. Okay, so we initially, the first element was 10, we passed A to my fun1, and my fun1 we modified the first element, we changed it to 100, and now it is 100, okay, in modified list. So here we are actually modifying list which we are receiving in x. Now immutable objects, if you are passing immutable object, okay, like a number or a string. Okay, integers and strings remain unchanged. Okay, even if you change number or a string in a function, okay, that number or a string will remain unchanged, okay, in the place actually where you are calling that function from, right? So here let's define one more function. Yes, Shiv Shankar? Format, are we using format, are we using format here? Okay, so if you remember, I explained format in earlier session also. Format function is not used to change value. Format function is used to create a string dynamically. So suppose you want to create a string. Okay, I'll explain this after this session, right? Hmm? Say in Python, okay, we don't declare variables, okay, with specific data type. We don't declare parameters with specific data type. And we discussed, if you remember, I think in first session, okay, this topic. Like there are data types, okay, but data type is implicitly set based on what the type of the value. Okay, so if you assign a number, then if you assign a number like 25, then the data type of that variable, okay, will be implicitly integer. But here we don't declare variables of specific data type. We don't associate data type. Oh, for that actually there are actually statements. There are features which we can use. Okay, what kind of value is there? So you can use type also. Okay, if you want to see what type of value is there, you remember we use type to check the type. No, type is a function. Use type function and pass the variable, and type will tell you actually what is the data type of this variable. Right, but you cannot create parameters of specific type in Python. You cannot declare variables of a specific type in Python, right? Unlike Java, .NET, C, C++, VC++, C sharp. Okay, okay, now let's define one more function, uh, def my fun2, and accept one input in X. Let's print a message, okay, before changing value of X. So print here. Okay, if you want to use format function here, okay, let's try to use format function. So before change, now I don't know what value user will be passing into it, right? So you have two ways. Okay, so either use comma, write your string, and then after comma write your value, right? But if suppose after the value you want to write some text, okay, in that case you need to use multiple commas, right? You need to actually construct one string using multiple small strings. So instead of doing that, what you can do is here you can use a placeholder. And if you are using this placeholder, then you have to use format, and within format pass value for this placeholder. So here we want to print what? We want to print X, right? And let's print this one more time. Okay, after change the value of X, and here after the first print statement, let's change its value. Okay, change its value to suppose, okay, we will be receiving a string. So and we are changing it to ABCD10. Okay, and remove this statement, right? So here we will receive input in X. Then before changing it, Okay, we are printing its value here before change, then we are changing it, and then we are printing its value after the change, right? Run this cell. So we have created uh, my fun2. Okay, now here in a let's store one string abcd1. Execute this cell, invoke my fun2 and pass a. Run this cell. So before change it was abcd1 before change, and my fun2 before change it is abcd1, right? And after this change it is abcd10. So within my fun2, inside my fun2, okay, value changed from abcd1 to abcd10, but here print a, it is still abcd1. Okay, so it is unchanged because this is string, and string is what? String is immutable. So if you pass a immutable value, okay, or object to a function, okay, then that value or object, okay, remains unchanged because that is immutable. Okay, so here my fun2 prints what? Value of x, then assigns a value. So here it is printing the value of x, and then it is assigning a new value to x, and then it is printing the new value of x, okay, which is what? abcd10. But because string is immutable, so here we are getting what? The original value of a, the value of a is unchanged. So these were the normal functions, and you also have something, okay, known as lambda functions, okay, in Python. So we can start lambda functions in this session, okay, but we will continue this lambda function in next session. Now lambda function is also known as an anonymous function. Okay, a normal function we always define with a name. A normal function is always given a name. Okay, so here we named it add 10, fun, okay, even odd. Okay, these are normal functions. My fun2, these are normal functions. Okay, so in normal functions, in case of normal functions, we always give a name to a function. But in case of lambda functions are also known as anonymous functions. Okay, lambda function is called anonymous function because this does not have a name associated with it. Okay, and its syntax is, we always use a lambda keyword. We use lambda, it's a keyword, and then we use arguments, and then we use expression. Okay, this is the syntax of lambda function. You just type in the keyword lambda here, and you will follow it up with the arguments, okay, which are to be passed to the function, and then you will give a colon, and then you will give an expression. Okay, this is the syntax of our lambda function. So another thing to keep in mind is, okay, you can give as many arguments as possible, okay, for a lambda function, but expression has to be only one. Okay, so let's define our first lambda function. uh, Use lambda keyword, lambda, argument is x, and then we want to calculate its square, okay, star star 2, and let's be it, now it's a function, lambda function, and it doesn't have a name, so let's assign this function to a variable f1. So here we are assigning this function to a variable f1. Okay, run this cell. So we have created a lambda function, a simple lambda function. Okay, add a new cell, and here we can call this function, okay, using this variable, because this variable f1, okay, has a reference, it is storing reference to this function. This function is a lambda function which doesn't have a name. Okay, so f1 and then you can pass value for x, because this lambda function, okay, expects what? An argument. Okay, so let's pass 3, f1 3, run this cell and see result is 9. So we are using f1, we are passing a value to it. So f1 has a reference, it is storing a reference to this lambda function, okay, which is anonymous, and this 3 we are receiving an x, and then after colon we have this expression, okay, which calculates what? The square of the number, okay, and it is giving 9. So lambda functions don't have a name associated with them, and we can assign them to a variable, like we are assigning it to f1 here in this case, okay, and then we can use that variable to call that function. So it's a lambda function. Okay, there are more, okay, that we will be discussing for lambda function, okay, next session. So we'll continue this topic in next session. Okay, that's all for this session, and you can ask if you have any questions. No questions. Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining the session.